Ghana must boost domestic financing to build a stronger, more resilient education sector, noting that while foreign support helps, long-term progress depends on reliable funding from within. He was speaking at the 2025 Doha Forum. Akopiem Doha na the kasa no watch say was Ghana e wom say man for the sika free baby be boy na mom ye dia enso so ye boy ho domestic financing say basa sika bi from on ani ma ya na say wote one mo dia wo so ye wuntimi ye no emwa. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama
is domestic resource mobilization. Ghana has performed well in terms of its budgetary allocation to education because at a point in time we realized that education was the key sector, to Ghana's progress and development. And so as a nation, we took a decision that we will all contribute on everything we purchase 2.5%, a value-added tax that goes into what we call the Ghana Education Trust Fund. And so that fund alone is able to mobilize sufficient revenue to almost hit the 20% mark. And so additional allocation from the national budget makes us easily overcome the 20% target. And so domestic mobilization is important. Of course, we're getting some support from USAID and all that. But, I mean, we should recognize the fact that I wish His Excellency Kokete well in their replenishment, but the reality is that that kind of resource is dwindling. And I was an ambassador at the last Gavi replenishment. The target was for 11 billion. They did well. They were able to raise 9 billion. But I'm just telling you, don't be too optimistic. The world of today does not have the kind of funding, and the mood is not there to fund these kinds of programs. And so I believe that while we rely on boosting education in these developed countries, through these kinds of mechanisms, we must look at mechanisms locally that enable us to contribute to our own children's education.
Okay. And on our church, minority and omoka say utility tariff increment. Now, instead of fixing a symptom of failed leadership and poor leadership choice, they are calling for an immediate suspension of that increment. Say January, we're no mama.
Completely wiped it. Instead of fixing the system, the government has chosen the lazy path of shifting its failures onto already suffering consumers. This will completely wipe out the meager 9% wage adjustment for 2026. Consequences: if the government does not listen to the call to withdraw the tariff hikes, they are going to cause 1. Escalating utility poverty, leaving more families unable to afford basic electricity. 2. Collapse of SMEs, which form the backbone of our economy due to unbearable operating costs. We are already experiencing a teeming unemployment youth in the country. Job losses as industries scale down or shut down operations. 4. Reduced productivity and competitiveness, further weakening the economy. And then 5. Heightened social and economic hardship, deepening the suffering of workers and households. These tariff hikes are not reforms, they are punishments. They are not solutions, they are symptoms of failed leadership and poor policy choices. We call on the government to immediately halt these incessant increases. The minority stands firmly with Ghanaian workers, households, small businesses, and industries struggling to survive. We will continue to use every legitimate parliamentary tool to demand fairness, transparency, and accountability in the management of the nation's utilities. Our position remains firm and non-negotiable. This tariff.
Okay. TUC demands government return to negotiation table over tariff hikes. One must say, 9% to 10%. Now, say you free table, no, so you are now also be increasing near Madia, Sambra. TUC.
The leadership of TUC at the steering committee this afternoon affirmed its outrage by the decision to increase electricity and water tariffs by 9.8% and 15.9% respectively. The PURC cumulative process with TUC for this major tariff review, as commenced at the meeting held at Aliza Hotel, was not conclusive before the announcement of those tariff increases. The PURC had sent a message to engage the TUC over the tariffs on Monday, December 8, only for the Commission to miraculously announce the tariff on December 2nd, 2025. This we find unacceptable. Following our meeting this afternoon, the TUC has resolved as follows. 1. In the spirit of fairness and mutual respect for our social partnership, we demand that government suspends the announced tariff increases. B. Government and PURC should, as a matter of priority, immediately engage as agreed to exhaust the consultative process. Leadership of TUC wishes to assure Ghanaian workers that it will resist any tariff increases that will erode the mega 9% government wage adjustment.
Okay. Eti TUC force just say awon wasem. One more din komo wi gina wie aban ahye omo bo. Sika aban de bre wo kura 9% just say. Esha. Enso be de wo mu free dem wo no omani asi nisuo. Afro mu bedru fi a ya say PRCC January electricity 9.8. South so na nsuo so 15.5. Hey! Debbie, almost immediately Abino and rescinded that decision. Now they are tossing me on Samra table. Now almost they will resist any tariff increment. And Parliament, and I'm the clerk, so the clerk command. A year electoral commission. Jane Adukwe Mensa. That's still our electoral commission too. I'm going to more you know when Uncle Charlie last say. And they are doing there. And they are doing there. I just saw Bembo Mira Yesway. They are doing there. In exercise of the power conferred and the duty imposed on the clerk to Parliament by Article 1125 as amended of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana as amended 1 Ebenezer Ahuma Jato, the clerk to Parliament, do hereby formally notify you of the occurrence of a vacancy in the membership of Parliament occasioned by the order of a High Court Tamale for a rerun of the Pandai Parliamentary election given on the 24th day of November 2025. This notification is pursuant to the service of a court order on the clerk to Parliament as the fourth respondent in the suit numbered NRTLHCE 1325-2225. Accordingly, notice is hereby given. Papa signature no say ultimi wi ani sika da two nyina wo two wom one wom ena konkonti ba ena tikrenkere do just Ahuma Jato. The notice as is hereby given. What happens to the appeal and the stay of execution? Has the court ruled? Has the court ruled? Because it was for 7 days. Yes, and 7 days in a term.
Yes, still no for 7 days.
Just yeah, I branch want to be in Parliament to be one.
CCDS Sane be. And say what fairly appeal. At the end delay cry. Friend, it's a judge, no. Ni full ruling, no. The delay must say the pressure near the other koyana a buy. In the buy, no, and almost so a file. Or more appeal ni
normal calling for stay of execution.
And but as to say court no so be granted no. And I stay no so number of days no so 7 days na speaker ni
I am under pressure to secure jobs for grassroots. Ashanti Regional NDC chairman Nana Kwesi say pressure pa gunu so emabuni obeso ya no pa no mgunu fie anwumre o rafia wo mo te kwa ho kuta certificate wo mo so mo pa mini jobs o say Asante mantem ha he's under pressure. Where is 24-hour economy? Where are the jobs that the youth were promised? So Nana Kwesi de nano atumudia yensu ekabiye you. He is under pressure to secure jobs. He's not finding the jobs. If the jobs were available, I don't think the chairman will be complaining. I'm so kwa okopem. Mabunu so hunu say I was so adwuma. I said this the early days say Ade Akye Abia ama NDC. Omo dwuma omo be ye nyina be wetila away job. Atante abono so me makwaba ma me nsa se free ho.
Oh ma me da se chetie po nyina.
Won to me ne wo ye de.
Ono de na ja. Especially
na the legal team no say charges be omo de abo to me or say mo can say lawyers mo can disclosure it is a disclosure no and I know more expect to see so ye mining war sa tano numeri forest ne sa forest no na they were demanding document ne
idea dance say obetimi de sa antansa na bono
but the attorney general so fee say at this moment they be me produce sani emamwa.
Now say you cannot do ambush. Ambush litigation is quashed in our jurisprudence.
A home man so take we baby crana se ko ete say sa charges no kran wan hwe bia e be ye free
because Ghana ne ambushing a council is not allowed. You have to disclose all documents, make it available. No one farmer no better pay defense. And you know the Asante family too.
My me share say friend na kosi dey so. Na kosi asema waka it's very loud now. Because my oba kaya you know say this year NDC for buy one 1 million coders na mo dey buy so my ya. So mo here one of the workshops near there. But you must say how has that
Tia launch a Jumera
or my lunch
and my 1 million coded
1 million coded na
go get
but it like jobs no obiane dey pay and we go out come and go get now we get their own team and yan go get and the coders has to do with
technical IT
the IT science and seminar and as government you do all the demarcations say adwumako do betima ye edwade we do betima sane ma no abo mo nyina timi anyo dwuma ne biaye because wo pewu mpewu benya biaye na o ma me ka besu last week ye kan wasen ma me be friend me real papa o kan say ne baby school since 2021 and 2022
yes what na fie sa fie num ni
fie be fie num fie nsiani
o bre o kasa no osu
I was touched and this is a tip no it's a penny 40 a beboa. Me, I was saying, say, at all, Honorable Minister of Finance, a corporate presentation. No, say next year. Omuti manners and quaker 2 batches do a while. Omuti foul. Oh,
it didn't show.
It should be because, Maka said, you over 2 years no crown a friend or more try even to pay them.
For shame.
But they should be able. I will say a job creation or a year priority. Because once a year war. Normal judge you may be teacher for nurse for police for so women na dey for any you may be also obi onye nurse ni a no just say onye adwuma nye wo go schools SS ni sa university sa adwuma na you will be obet cleaner or security name all these people must be employed na aban ntimi employ ni poni nye adwuma nye o ma se ni panya adwuma nya aban wasomunyo da because economy ubaka say one my economy is stable whatever na say nipa only protecting power what gains are you can be so proud of intermediate na kwasi ana woni ma de ba kwa waka say omunya certificate no on say na sapon nana no we dey srem yanka busuya
yewra sapon
tiase ni me say no spearhead some of these NDC4 boys bi o mo pay adwuma ye wa ban ni mu on once that he's gone, definitely
somebody should take it up.
And then that is what probably the chairman is doing. And you know, na kwesimi nimre. Na onye adwuma na nasapon pesa wo ye no. No sikopem ne sane man. Once onye no omo because omo original minister. Regional minister no. Me say wono no adeso no nso no kese pa se chairman.
Nanka hwe.
Because wono na bibia it didn't refer to.
When it comes to jobs near there, and Kwalano they know say omone wo chairman e social contract. Adwuma okoye no. Now that time even though no your regional secretary no. Also the hierarchy about party they see the chairman more than the regional secretary.
Oh, and anybody else.
National na ya na general secretary mostly. Amanfo ani ko ho. But ya no mu chairman pa.
Into o ma ho de na kwesime nimre. Na dem di twa to it use for there. Last week me can say Sabaya to tunia mama. Ya wo hwe increment a wodi ma workers. Na wodi atotonia me. This is what to akatuemu 9%. Na wo beto light mu say
9 point something.
Na
ensure
15%. Definitely the other man nko wa jam na sample so. Me ye electric calculation say obi 2005 no pool. Na ye ma 9%. It means onya 225 cedis and I can sika no. And at the same time minim utilities no ebia will be tua per watt or what a kilowatt.
It will depend on the person how much
and you never buy also 225 na band the man no. Nebia utilities no kwa no air water ne light no kwa nje.
Ajikra manam.
Me wa transport yi e wo say ye ntumu but that wa for no ebi yes and do ye government worker you have to cough extra money somewhere.
Yes, I don't count him in.
Yes, I want to mean call. So, na me Tuesday for mom no hwe me wan papa. They don't hear penifo mo wan say, "Oh my, omo do negotiation. They went there with 15%. Omo no 20% kwa na bi omo na aban kwa ba o. 15% omo dey to table no so. And some of these minor smaller groups in the Tuesday. Omo raise doubts issues. Other na omo na nko so ne
yente so kra bebe
50. Na wo kwa trust ya ko ni aban akosi nkonwa in a very friendly and then eniji so ama wa kwa no mutin sa na ma nyina wie ama afa de ye de we ba wie ya wo sa se mun san ko negotiation table anti teams for munni omo work when say organized labor front omunni omo nko for ni because
my issue is this omampani ba foforo omo meeting ase a no obowura ho e no so osre omo eniema motin ni obehu ye no kra no ebro ne na owa abonten a woka it was osre omo nye 10%. Na onim se afinkwa wie no watimi ama economy na gira wa hyehyɛ niema miso mi buso eniema na hyehyɛ na hyehyɛ because when you hear what Ato Forcing and the Governor of Bank of Ghana and the President himself is saying, it means say they have stabilized the economy. We have seen dollar inflation, all the macro and the micros are now stable. Until if you gave me 10%. Now what's me amount to Tunium and what to Tunium we was have 10% so about 9. What are you telling me? Not using penny for a moment to I could find the last year on my 25%. July or they call 27%. And no po na we now 10% because my penny ohia honeymoon. But after 1 year 9% makoje wie as Asante say my penny bra negotiating table tripartite no employers no make one na say say the omoni aban mienu ne behia. Oh Jesus.
I don't think I make us a Tuesday phone or di omuku money.
Total disappointment.
Or Senka or preempting who say Omuma Bani who say we are the Mayeno. Is it going to take any effect on any other utility Diana? What went to many discussion and I said went to many negotiation. I beg you, I feel about saying some single table.
Oh, I knew.
Oh, and to me, dear. but now anka ban so man nka o man nya hekwa nko metimi am abo na ka ho ke ebo no kwa
o de wan fa bi anka ho kra
ka ho na nka at least omunya space now 9% o de ma na nka omunya so mfa so mpo
10% o de won say 10% mu fa
o de na nka omunya space
basa ko hwan so ba ko
fa nkuntu na sia dane wo ho abaji diska oni bra on so na say 9% no kan o ma say etu am na abro so enti o ma media no pandemic accusing panifo no o mo na anya ade they had a chance to do better bargaining o ma anya say no o mo na ma hu be mi
na
o mo ko
eno ani edi nkomo wa ha no Jeremy Kesam PR Cocoa Board ko kana no tumu anka yo wa say Ade Akye amanfo base no say eba say ye Farmers Day a whole Cocoa Board CEO e wo World Cup drase Abrantia no mekasa wo say Ade Akye is on leave enunti e na mo hu so ko World Cup draw no now obusa Ghana for say in any case what would his presence have added to the Farmers Day celebration? Jeremy Kesam say it is Ade Akye wa man oba ya kede de besie hey is asking Jeremy Kesam say it is Ade Akye man ya ntumi anye Farmers Day ana na obi ya employ wo March April how can you go on leave na say wo beka bibia kire Ghana for a Cocoa Board CEO on a day of farmers wa ma usu o leave and can dey first way we I say of what benefit and an can the presence kra no celebration dey dey beba hey
me say omanpanyi mama we tear no pay when that base a fine gentleman and we know him for very good being good at sports omani quantity on sports
asama by this act Randy is telling us he has chosen sports and football ahead of Cocoa
and we should give him that opportunity and he can also deliver at the sports level no
senti ko be jina oba Farmers Day akadie de be say babichu yaw na me kwa ayi ho eja ko babichu
komu ye nana kwesi komu ye yedi me de akota me fi say bebia ye jina sese no akota ye nka no kore NDC appointees no omo mutirima ye dentem dodo omo manya opportunity e serve wa bem whether omo ye CEOs whether omo ye ministers whether omo ye deputy ministers whether omo ye DCs
akota omo feel boys no
dentem dodo omo dundum omo phone so ntem dodo omo change omo numbers ntem na at least o sen komudi be a year or two bi ansana omo start adanse subanadi too early awuntawne boys reading come even NDC communicators bi omo bafia say ne krobia ebebafia ha sei na one ne din komo afidie so omo ntibi nka nkyereo but in the quiet oba officer o de start say one ne din omo din komo menka say krobia nko say bi ne oba but me de ne example keke NDC communicators na omo bafia ha na omo nya appointment no
omo manya ne mfie omo
omo mfie omo akoye a handful say enye same gemfia na akwakwa Nuruddin Abbas anase bia ekwa na akwakwa ye broja gemfi anase Erika J wa unia Erika J
NEIP
de wono so ni region but I say esunu kwa
no abem
ababebo abada
na youth youth minister wo Pablo
me unse weekend no oye ne maame ana
oye ne maame ye
Pablo na oye ne maame ye
asafoje oy
hwan
akota mi nimbe bi asafoje wo
wanya in the position so nya agro
kwaku asafoje oy
mi nimbe bi akwaku asafoje wo barakonta omamo mutima start aye
asafoje how many times have I mentioned kwaku asafoje
NDC appointees no omutirima enana kwesi eka odika yes akota yanka no kre mampani John Dramani Mahama why appointment na bro so aye be say 7,000 you say 8,000 and then DC members here see the vote omunya na no abato a ye kokoto ye edi ka asemo a se bia se omunyina akra ye NDC members and as sympathizers of NDC a over 6 million over 7 million asemo it is expected say more 7,000 8,000 amubenya appointment every president onomo no momwa wo munidi na bi nso nkwala no so grassroots no so but omudu usuro onomo no so onchange ni number after do mo friend na onfa
Oshia so anu omuna
Oshia so ase mi meeting mi kwa meeting dem bia enai eniaman she danye ye munya botre bakota eniaman she danye ye no wo se wo ye DC wa change u car wo se wo shirt sem asesa wo se nkomodiem asesa wo ye DC wo ye deputy CEO wo ye deputy minister
wo ye DCs no ya resource wo
yes and then we a DC ya
and a DC
complain no o complain be
200 and something ye tiom ka ye
kota common fund so ba
common fund abanye say ba
aba in all the quarters ni nyina
DC bia no one no betumi akase amania NPP DC CMCs hu ye no
this current DCs mo de na different sabi mo de na mu ye iti mu di ema world members ni bi ni muni di
omo fi omo
akota omo form course omo fan kwala ne course and boys no many girls young girls
omo start complaining say how
omo start
say how
and president entimin tonko so emfa resources in free crime
emma
mo omo ni mu nyina na net form ho
ebia omo ni mu nyina na kufu ado so a position good Ashanti region CEO so a wo manfi emrantie no
afi duru baby no na akoye nipa kuma bi te se ne mekan na afi akoye kodua akoye nipa kuma bi
the late John Kuma
inti
wasadio
dede ne bemwa na omabem na asete kakra enu bi ne ehun senye same jamfi a Nurudin Abbas
Nurudin yaw Nurudin a shock you obia social infrastructure fund SIF Nurudin is the last person nipa ni bi okumase ya Ashanti region omodi omani tools say Nurudin ebe ye omadoye nipa bebre na me omadi nkoma o se uko Nurudin chain
yes
say the ojiufa
mo
any say onukra ntumi a obetry aso do be bawura samije fi ho say the bay at least
mo
bibi kakra ebe so ana emo bi a wo pe wo saka I am so shocked because me Nurudin din komo kra wo fi about ayi the any what if ya da bia ne come ne din komo Asante wan fi
and akota
me friend Nurudin and ayi me two kwan me buy na Nurudin esiesie akire and I'm say hey bia me la Nurudin ni tika kraka
akota boys
say o yo ni papa na bi mu ho omu carry omanu
omu bodia no mabo Nurudin Abbas din no madanase no mabo Sami Gemfidi no madanase
omu ba safojedi
no mabo Broja Gemfidi no
omu ba safojedi
omu bo Eric Jedi no madanase
omu ba safojedi
mini baby a wotie o mini baby asafojedi tie
come concentrate no upon nipa na NDC buy omanya positions
ano na me ken
Ashanti region de eka
etina ma me ka bi say me bo de ma me bo Nurudin Abbas din
because of here
yet Ashanti region ana ofia
Deputy Minister be and the Minister of Works and Housing so for Ashanti region
Kenneth your friends Kenneth bibi
Nana Boakye oh no said any mainstream
yes
lawyer but and then was say on so bem
Deputy Minister back
because Boakye Nana publishing company Boakye who would be
yes me say weekendi ena
Nana kwasi Boakye who no
akota
boys no kura bebre ni no
akota yemo muntaka so abaso but the do baby a ohu me hu say etimi kwa na hu say akota uji load bia na abro so
e de be bro so
uji load bia na fe na abro
alasa wo ha
tem so ba
alasa wo ha
uji load bia and
so no na yi na wo friend say Captain
Jabari yes Jabari
alasa de any deputy
Jabari ne Bills ne hwan omu nyina wo
I was so mubuam Bruno asa wudi edidi ja yo
so man keka omu ho na saa enyi no toasoa nyumi no etoasoa
se wo be wa juma nyina on the national level na di pe bojo so ba ballot paper no wo ba form na abeto ayo se wo be sa koye executive secretary e wo ba bibie wa na se director bie wa
akwa mo nsantem
eto bu sia bibi from MPP
ya okay voter region ya mo se e wezu
sa
ade nti o mo se e wesi ni on se voter region no
demand no wo so
omampanyin no omampanyin yi on se o mo wo some voter guys people o mo kuta voter names e wo ubo on se we voter
but oni no who brother
oni touch with them
oni no brother ni crop growsi order etu ba to say your friend no Johnson Ahamavo Johnson Ayafo no onim so e voterian no but constituency bia ni hono ma omuni no etu okonkra se okwa ya ahiafa oni no gate na no kwema ni nwura ho Mr. Ashanti region NPP for their two or more hano NDC it is too early
na make
say ebi betumo e come the boys no
akota e
time no ntima me ma yimrem
nipa na kra pese e bia oka asem bi kire wo
say yawe
messing bi kra
maybe no obo opad missing keke office wa bo part opad missing keke ne be police bi agura de de be yero no
yes enyinyi no
obrani timi ji yaw obrani timi ji ayi say bia or the police nipa be 30 emu be 10 ye ne girlfriends enuanom
yeah
I brave.
Os ma mena sina enkomo yi na ama make kan sembi. Said you wo kan boss too early. Too early so me sha say I ignore course. This is the time. What do you say oboto mu nye de eniema nko yi kura na peke call no na passem papa bi ka kire nipa no. Manipa no hu se wo dwene no ho. Manipa no hu se esi ye de mawa obekai omo. But here is the case obi o say ofre no class or the what to blacklist to so the what to him call nya bom na drop it e bom kakra bia na drop it maza you've ni nyina ne grassroots for ni nyina bre na wo kwakoduru ba bia waduru no dime nya se wo nko a wo modern mountain wakoduru ba bia waduri na se wo ni nkai a wo china bi ya be kai wo se we na ade ayeye no matter the etian at least pick a call nyasem asem de bi ka kire nipa no say oh bra sister enyam piki ye nti wo de nya abotre e fa wo betime nka na wo ko hibernation say de manfo enchenche wona afi dan be duru na tariffs yi na me pese me hwe kakra boss tariffs yi minim aban they should begin to be sensitive to Ghanaians women sensitive to Ghanaians kakra because sa tariffs ya wo mo increase me tuya me de me fie se me pie na me ko pizza man me pie na me ko KFC me pie na me ko X5 me pie na me ko here enam se wo mo nso sa tariffs na ka wo mo nsuo ne light de enti no final you know omo de ba ka ho me na me san tuya sa no sa fo ya djuma na wo se gu no sa no sa fo ya djuma ne wo mo mbe employable na obesan yi o mo di because the tariffs ne kosro now to mean break even at the end of the day the person will be forced to say obe expel obe yi adwumayefo ni bi edi se be ya ne ho be hinhan no nti aban should be sensitive sika no mo je ni sika na aban de kohonom no ade ketua bi o betumi aye de amaye ne se o mbekushi yen o me subsidize ensuo ne light ni fuel na se no nso na mosa di ku yende a ene na de be mpa na anopa mi bisa se aban mo ye ede amatimemufo se be ya ho be hinhaye ede be mpa na mo ye ede abo timemufo se be hunu se ampa empumtuo koso anase ya bra bomuni ya setena mu ne enioma eko ye changes kakra eba because ye too light mu no ne ye too fuel mu upia kwa abonten akwa akoto ade nso ye satum at the end of the day wo daily wage wo salary nso ye ntum ye the percentage be back to bi meanwhile appointees enjoy DSTV allowance, shirt allowance, dear ben allowances ni nyina omo je womo de omo ho to munti womo hu de ye kan ye ne go through the daily struggles, the hardship no ye ne ewram ye na da ne da nyina ye face. Aban should be sensitive to Ghanaians kakra because me ntiase say ECG da ne da nyina ne da bia no mutu omo enema musa de bentia nti support ahodo na efiri aban ho sika na efiri ye nchen omo gige no de bia mabisa sika no omo de ye den omo de fine nti asiesie ben no omo de ye wo ho ya enu nti omo nwie ye enu nti machines ben enu omo pese omo procure omo nti omo nwie ye na the last time that me bisa question bi say omo so ya omo say na aban twetwe light ni bi nti omo na me bisa say nti say timamuni na koye ya nka omfa no mra kwan so adenti na aban ekoye illegal connection say MPB say DC bi akwa illegal connection na mu hu say e yasimasi obenti a momfa no mra kwan so na mo ja obo no mo fom hudi but the ordinary Ghanaian the oyemfom so kitua bi a na okotwe na so o de ne kwa kogina court adenti a
abusia for ye nan ye ho bra agudi ho sem e na ye de brem no ye ba ye beto aso mama boys ni didi bio mama mo didi bio